everyone, and welcome back to the allotment. It's another breezy day. I've just popped down after work. You can see the sunflowers behind me. I'm stood next to the fruit cage. I'm going to do a bit of watering. I've prepared all the clips for this upload, and I've just tacked on the end a video collage of photographs from the Gardeners World Live event that I attended 2 weeks ago. I had the opportunity to meet Sean, Cameron, Muddy Boots and Nick from Nick's Allotment. That's N-I-C, Nick, not N-I-C-K, because they're a couple. We had a great day, lovely weather, saw all the show gardens, and it was a bit of an eye-opener because we got to see Monty Don being filmed, and he's always very, very relaxed when you see him on Gardeners World. And they had to do several retakes of one section of his broadcast, and it's quite interesting. Big boom there, like a big crane, lots of people, you know, keeping everybody in the background quiet, but very interesting. You'll see that Nick wasn't too troubled by Monty's difficulties. He was more concerned with trying to catch a chicken leg from one of the show gardens that have got a barbecue on the go. You'll also see man's best friend, Monty Don's best friend as well, if you just keep an eye out. So I hope you enjoy that. That's at the end. The main part of the update is looking at the leeks that I planted at the weekend and at the greenhouses. Quite a bit of work to do on the tomatoes and a few cucumbers to pick as well. So hope you enjoy the update, and thanks as ever for watching and commenting, and also for subscribing. So enjoy the update, and I'll see you later. Cheers. Hi everyone, welcome back. It's the 2nd of July, it's Sunday morning, about 11 o'clock now, and I'm halfway through the greenhouse maintenance. I've just been making a start on the big greenhouse, taking out the side shoots and trying to clean up the bottom of the plants as well, because as you can see, some of the leaves, the bottom leaves, are starting to get mottled and a little bit yellow between the veins. They've served their purpose, those leaves now, so they need to come off. And as you can see, there are weeds at the bottom as well in the soil, because my pot mix is a mixture of manure, soil and compost. None of it bought, it's all off the plot. But in the soil, obviously, you're going to have weed seeds, and they will germinate. So I want to clear those out. There are some nettles in there as well, which is not very nice. But I also want to pay a bit of attention to some of the trusses as well on the plants, because as you can see, you've no doubt seen this on other YouTube channels where people show you how they truss prune, that's what it's called. And you can see here, this plant is Paul Robeson. It's a beefsteak, it's a black one, purpley black, and you can see the first truss here, it's got some lovely tomatoes on, it's got about 5, but you can see there are still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, about 17 tomatoes that are still in flower, will produce tomatoes, but they're never going to grow to maturity. And it's the same principle really with truss pruning as it is with side shooting. If the plant's trying to feed, sending nutrients to the end, to the tip of each truss, and it's growing additional foliage to produce food to feed all of these additional tomatoes, it's depriving these tomatoes here and any other maturing tomatoes from the nutrients that they need. So what we need to do is decide where we're going to prune those trusses, and I'm tempted to think that we'll pretty much take all of the excess off, maybe just leave one little one on each one, just to foster a little bit of growth to the tips, because we want these to grow on. And each of these tomatoes, if I were to remove one of those tomatoes and just leave 4, we'd probably get the same weight off that truss. They'd just be bigger tomatoes. And if you look higher up, well, on this plant, I've got 3 stems deliberately. I left 3. I've got 14 plants in this greenhouse, 7 down one side and 7 down the other. And one side is a mirror image of the other. They're the same plants in the same position. And this one is a Paul Robeson, as I say, and it's got 3 stems. But over on this side, if you can see, we've got a Paul Robeson down there, and that's just got 1 stem. So I'm curious to see what the yield will be like from both plants. So I'm going to try and compare the two, both in terms of the number of tomatoes. Bear in mind that we're interfering, that we're trying to manipulate to an extent how many tomatoes are on. So that in itself is irrelevant. It's academic how many tomatoes, because as you've just seen, we could have dozens and dozens of the things, but they'd all be tiny. So we're taking some of the flowers off. But it will still be possible to compare yield. We're interfering with both plants, so it's not an exact science. Be interesting to see how many trusses we get, because obviously we've got 3 stems on the one on the right of the greenhouse. We've only got 1 here, and if we look at this one at the moment, on the left side we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 trusses, with a 5th one forming up at the tip, and we've got tomatoes on 3 of those trusses. And down here I think we've got 3. We've got 3 or 4 on the second one, and a couple, 2 or 3 on the top one. But they're not, interestingly, they're not, the trusses are not massive, and they're not producing dozens and dozens of flowers. If you look at this one here, well, it's a little bit like a double. There are 2 sections to the truss, and there's 3 or 4 flowers on the end of each one. But if you look over here, where we've got 3 trusses, well, there's dozens of the things. So, and maybe that's because you know, the plant is trying to support so many trusses, so many tomatoes. It's sort of racing with its growth almost to try and keep up with the continual production of fruit. But as I said earlier, that fruit's never going to reach mature. It needs to reach a mature green stage of tomato in order for it to ripen. If it doesn't reach that stage, like a dark green with the shoulders turning really deep, you can take it off, it'll never ripen up. But as you can see on this one, there must be 2 or 3 dozen flowers at the top. So it's just going berserk, isn't it? The growth is berserk. It's trying to support so many potential fruit. So I might interfere now with this one, and I don't know, possibly even take a whole truss out here and there, but we'll see anyway. And on this right side there are 3 tomatoes actually. There's Brandy Boy in addition to Paul Robeson and Hillbilly Tomato, and they've each, these 2 here, they've each got 2 stems as well. And on the left side, the same tomatoes, but just with 1 stem. So it's the same thing again, and we'll see. But to me, if you look at these 3 tomatoes here, clearly I've pruned them. There's only 1 stem. But if you look at the plant, there seems to be a nice balance between foliage and fruit production, and we've got big fruit as well. Whereas when you look over here, whilst we have got fruit production, there are already signs that that fruit's going to be smaller, and the foliage is probably similar, but as I say, the number of flowers are there are far more on this side. So that's just a sign of things to come, I think. So I'll get on with these now, and I've talked enough, and I'll thin them out, and we're still going to have additional stems and probably more fruit, but we'll see. It'll be interesting to see what the yields are like at the end of the season. So that's the big greenhouse. Lots to do today because the weeds have appeared en masse after all that rain. So we'll take a look outside anyway. We'll have a look at the leeks. I've just put those in. And here they are, they're all in now. I think we've got 8 rows and there are about 14 leeks in a row. So there are a couple of the rows are a bit shorter, so there's probably about 115 leeks, which should be enough. They were a little bit late going in, but we were unable to put them in because the soil was so dry and the holes just kept falling apart. But with all the rain, we had a great day for it yesterday. It was just like wet sand, so the holes were okay. They were still quite difficult to make, and as you can see, looking at my hand, pushing on that dibber, the centre of my hand had a big blister there, and rubbed the skin off my thumb and my hand as well. It's quite a difficult job when you're putting your leeks in, but they're in, and they were watered well yesterday. But you can see already the top inch and a half of the soil has dried out. It's still breezy. I don't know what it's like where you are, but here it's never really stopped the breeze. And I brought some tree stakes down today. I've got 2 there and 4 down on the fruit allotment for the apples, because they've got quite a few apples on and they're quite young trees, and I maybe need to thin the apples out, but they're fan-shaped, the trees, and the wind is rocking them, and on one tree I think one of the roots is broken in the ground and the others are a little bit loose, so I didn't want to put stakes in too early because I wanted the trees to develop and thicken up a bit, but the wind's just it's been horrible really. So that's the leeks there. I might need to just maybe give them they're all wilting a little bit, so I might just, for the first few days, give them a little bit more water just to make sure they're alright. And just here on the left, really pleased with the onions. These were ordered online, and I got three packets, and there were about twice as many as I said would be in them, so we've got plenty. I mean, we've got, I think, about 6 rows here of the heat treated red baron, 6 rows of Santero, they're the heat treated white, and 4 rows of caramel pink, they're a French pinkish onion. And these are really nice. They look really appetising, I have to say, because they're forming lovely little bulbs. And give it another month or so, and I think we'll be able to start taking the odd 1 or 2 and eating them. Because I like to do that. I like to make sure that I start on the onions, just like some of the other things like later in the season, like parsnips. As soon as they're big enough to eat, we start eating them. And obviously we'll take the remainder out to dry, and they'll keep over winter. But if you have a problem later on in the season with mildew or neck rot, or at least you've enjoyed your onions earlier in the season. So and that's the whole point, isn't it? Grow successionally if you can, and eat as and when they're fit to eat and harvest. The Santero onions, they're all forming bulbs as well. They look lovely. These are supposed to have some resistance to mildew, and they all look healthy. We've not had too much rain. Had about 3 or 4 days, didn't we? It was heavy, but they needed it, and they're all bulking up. The red onions, the red baron, they were the first to arrive in the post, first to go in modules. They had about 1 foot of green, and I tell you what, I've just spotted something that's just made alarm bells ring, given that these are heat treated. You see it there on the tip, one's gone to seed. So let's hope that that's the only one, because these are supposed to be heat treated, and the flower spikes are supposed to be neutralised, if you will, in that heating process. So I'll take that tip off anyway. But what I was going to say about these is, these were the first in, grew on the quickest, but the bulbs are not any bigger than the others, so the others have caught up, as you can see. If anything, they're further on. There might be a smaller onion than the others, looking at them at the size of the entire plant, like the caramel pink there, seems to be a slightly smaller, daintier onion, if you look at the size of the foliage. But the onions are well formed, the bulbs, as are the Santero. And there are a few that are bulking up in the Red Baron, but not as many. So we'll just take out that tip there. We don't want that. So yeah, things are looking alright. I've got to cut the grass on the no-dig allotment and do some weeding as well, because I didn't get the chance last weekend, and of course then it rained. All the sunflowers are still looking nice. Everything's really healthy on there. And we took us first carrots yesterday. I've still not put any, we've had fleece around, but I've removed that from the beds. I've still to put some Enviromesh protection on it, but they're doing really well. And we took some, they were a little bit slim, but they were long, slender carrots. We'll have a look, possibly at the large bed, and I'll pull a few just to show you, because there are so many in there. I think they're Autumn King too, those on the fruit allotment in the raised bed. We'll look at those. Looking at the raised carrot bed now, and as you can see, the apple trees are bending over with the weight of the apples on them. They've got to be staked in, otherwise they'll adopt that form, that shape, that central trunk, if you like. It's hardly that, is it? The main body of the plant, the central bit. It'll just end up being bent for years to come, so it needs straightening up. And this one here on the right is the one that I said had probably had a root broken at the bottom. There you can see how it's resting over. And June drop's not finished with this tree, but we will need to remove some of those. But these are the carrots, and they're not all ready, but they're nice and long, slender carrots. So I just try and see if I can do it without breaking. It was this is where it gets interesting, because yesterday, of course, the ground was still quite moist, and it's dried out a little bit now, and I think this is probably going to get broken. It's coming, I think. Or is it? Oh, it's coming. So, it's not ready yet, obviously. But there are so many in here. As I said, with the onions, we're starting to take them. So we'll thin them out, as you can see there, taking one, just cover that hole up, get the soil back around the other carrots. But they're still at a stage where they can be eaten. Just a scrub, and they're done, aren't they, pretty much. This one might get fed to my mate, I forget his name now, obviously we're not on first name terms, the horse in the neighbouring paddock. Tom, that's him, Tom. He might get fed that. But there's no sign of any damage on them as yet, but it's still early days. So you can see we've got a sea of carrot tops. And the ones we pulled up yesterday, my cousin and I, we had about £1 each, believe it or not. They were a bit thicker than that, the ones that we managed to get. They were probably 2/3 of an inch in diameter, but they're still alright to eat and very sweet. We'll be having some of those for lunch today. So that's the large carrot bed. We'll take a look at the middle greenhouse, and we'll have a look at the cucumbers, because I think there are a couple of those that are ready now. So here we are in the big greenhouse, and starting to look a little bit crowded in here. A couple of aubergines at the bottom, 4 Cape gooseberries, a couple of afterthoughts here in the corner, a couple of cucumbers that we're going to give away and nobody wanted them, so I just stuck them in. They'll be a little bit later. I think they're the market more, the smaller cucumbers. All the lettuce is still going strong, but just here we've got quite a few cucumbers, and that'll be the first one of the season. You can see it's a decent size. These are the burpless, they're quite easy to grow. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on that plant. Then over here, just move this gooseberry out of the way. We've got 1, 2, 3, 3 or 4 on that one there. And then there's 1 in the corner. And down here, I think we've got to mark it more. You can see it's a shorter, stubbier cucumber. That's ready to come off, and there are others forming. So we've probably about a dozen cucumbers that are going to come off in the next 2 to 3 weeks, I would think, and others growing on. They need to come off so that you know, it promotes the growth of the remaining ones. But that one, I'll be going with me tonight, I think. I'll pop down after lunch, and so nice to be able to say that you don't have to buy cucumbers. That's another thing on the list. We don't need any lettuce, we don't need any carrots, still don't need any onions or potatoes, and cucumbers, they're ripening up now as well. A few kohlrabi outside as well, so we're starting to do quite well really. Just about everything we eat now, there's something off the allotment. Well, that's just about it, I think, for this update. I could carry on outside showing you loads of stuff, but it's quite windy and I think the sound would be affected. So have a great week, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Cheers, bye.